Have you ever noticed that when someone says a little bit about me, it's never a little thing? It's like, it's a big revelation. For more revelations, put your hands together for our next comic. Give it up for Anna Borquez.
Hello everyone, I'm Anna. I'm from Mexico, and yes, my skin is white, and my hair is kind of blonde, and my boobs are a regular size. Well, I did have a breast reduction surgery when I was 17, so I guess this area was super Mexican. Double deep Mexican, really. Regret that decision, of course. So, yeah, I'm from Mexico. I'm from a very conservative part of Mexico, actually. Like, have you seen that movie, The Stepford Wives?
Yeah.
Well, that's my hometown. It literally is. Like, for example, here, when you get married, people start calling women by their first name and of their husband's last name. Like, my husband's last name is Luders, so people call me Anna of Luders. I mean, that's so fucked up that that's even what they called him in The Handmaid's Tale. It's crazy. And that's not even the craziest part. The craziest part is that when I talk about this with other women, and I tell them, you do know that this literally means that we are property of someone else, and they look at me like I'm crazy, and I've never understood this behavior until I read this Harvard study about the positive impact working mothers have on their children. And I know what you're thinking, a blonde Mexican that reads, what? It's okay, it's not your fault. Narrow connotations are just part of a Mexican's life. It's probably the government's fault, or many popular movies, except for Coco. They got it right. So yeah, this study, it said that it was done in over 10 countries in South America and North America. And the only country where women were more conservative than men about gender roles was Mexico. And don't get me wrong, I do take advantage sometimes of the fact that nothing's expected of me. Like I will decide sometimes to watch hours of Netflix and no one will judge me, and that's great. But the payoffs are just not enough. So yeah, when I read this study, it made me understand a lot about the behavior of a lot of women I saw growing up. Like my grandmother, for example. Like once, my brother brought over his new girlfriend, to a family gathering, and I told you we're Mexican, so of course, a gathering of 70 people. And we're having fun, and everything is going great. We're giving her the warm welcome, and my grandmother, until it's time to eat, and my grandmother approaches my brother's girlfriend and tells her, "Mija, here the women serve the men their food." Yeah, that happened. That was true. Also, many times at our family gatherings, I will be eating. I will be in the middle of my wine, in the middle of my conversation, and my grandmother will turn to me, look me in the eyes, and say, "Mika, your brother's hungry." I'm like, he can serve himself. No, not really. That's only in my head because I don't dare talk back to my abuela. Yeah, my grandmother, she's something. I also was raised Catholic, and my grandmother, she's very strictly Catholic. Like once, I commented in front of her that I thought it was unfair how in the Catholic Church you can only men can be priests and women cannot. And she looked at me and said, "Mija." That's all she said. The comment was just too outrageous for her to even comment more about it. Yeah, she's very strictly Catholic. Like, I have an aunt that's been divorced for over 15 years, and she got remarried a year ago. And that's great, right? Well, my grandmother felt the need to go talk about this with all of the people in our family, individually. And when it came to me, she sat me down and she told me, "Mija, I talked about this with 7 priests, and the 7th priest told me that we are going to be okay. We are going to be okay." Yeah, like a human being has the ability to tell you that you're going to be okay. You're going to be saved from eternal damnation because your daughter fell in love again. And that's my time. Thank you so much.